confidence maxing. Like, if you think about it, what do you wake up for every morning of your life? When you're confidence maxing, you can either go inward, mystical, or outward, career, but you got to do both, and you got to do that every day of your life. And if it feels repetitive, you got to switch it up, right? You can't always go outward. Especially my guys. I feel like you guys, that's like the one thing you guys obsess over the most is I've seen Chads and millionaires DMing me about confidence, and I'm like, dude, you have a great life going for yourself. And then I realized, these guys tune into my confident days when they're not confident, and then, days where I'm off, they don't see me and they think like I'm always like that. Where does confidence come from? Where does this accomplishing everything you set out to do since you were a young wee lad, where does this come from? It comes from one source, baby. And chat knows where this is from. This comes from, I'm not gonna say it. You guys have to say it. It comes from unity. Because no matter how many friends, no matter how much family you have around you your whole life, it's gonna sound fucked up, but for you 20-year-olds that are just getting into the game and shit, it sounds a little crazy to say, but ask the older guys in chat if I'm lying. Most of your life you're alone. Yeah. Very alone. You'll be so alone in your life. You'll be so, especially if you're like the thinking type. If you play video games and your soul already disappeared, it's like gone, then maybe you're just like a zombie. But most of your life you will be so alone that the word self will be a mystical word. It's going to be a spiritual word. Anytime you hear the word self, it's going to be, and it is a interesting thing, the concept of the self, when you think about it, because it's really the person you least know. You have an idea of who the Piers Morgan guy is and the Ahmadinejad and stuff, but you never have an idea of the self. And the self is always linked to, in anyone who's studied the self, from the Eastern mystics to the Western thinkers and all that, it's always about something closer to unity and source and God, and it's not you. And the more distant self feels from you, the more you realize, oh shit, I know everyone on earth but myself. And the worst part of this is, let's say you're 22 now, 23, 24, 25 years old. What happens around this age is that you go into experiences and knowing yourself a lot more. You go in deeper, and the self becomes a bigger stranger. And that's probably the worst feeling on earth, right? When you spend all these years doing everything that you're supposed to do, it feels intuitive, plus the objective collective world that has you have to do this, has told you what you have to do, and you've done everything they said, and then you fall short. Very short. So short that you don't know if you're a fascist or a communist or even the deeper questions. And there's a chatter saying he's talking directly to me, but no, everyone feels what I'm saying. That's why when I ask you guys, where does this confidence come from? How come some can have confidence? How come some geniuses cannot figure it out? Or most? And you gotta really answer it Confidence comes from God. And God is not this word that makes you want to talk about politics and gay-ass religion and politics and all this that's been psyoped. The word religion has been psyoped. Well, it's not about race, it's about religion. Yeah, but when you look at the self, or just, the human self, he's mostly unconscious. You are mostly unconscious. You have drives, you have external triggers, but most of the time you're on autopilot. You're going through your motions. You might think of something negative and start washing dishes for 2 hours, and you're back into autopilot mode. You are a machine, and you don't know how to stop. And when you stop, that's when it goes the most. And your brain is just going even harder. And you're thinking to yourself like, what did Zherka mean when he said it's about race and not religion? What I meant was the self is mostly unconscious, especially after waking. And you have to remember that, let's just look at white people in Sweden. They're not religious. But their unconscious attitude is still the most peaceful because they had many generations and ancestral bloodlines that absorbed the Christ impulse, right? So that stream you did talking about your lowest point in your life hits different now. Well, look, man, there's this thing where everyone who talks about motivation, how the mind works and stuff, they're just pulling out their ass. And whether they have 10 million views or 10 views, no one ever sits down and says to a young man that you are alone. And that's just how it is. And there's so much armor, there's so much weaponry that comes with you accepting that. You accept it and then you man the fuck up, right? Because realizing the self is alone is the first time God becomes everything to you. You enter a world where everything is and no one is there. And you'll say no one's there because God is not really a person to you. That's not how you perceive it, right? But yeah, as soon as you accept that, you become a lot more like me. And is there anything better for a Zoomer? Sneeko hanging around with me became extremely confident. I don't want people to confidence max into some reckless behavior where they become like me, but I am the antidote. That's why I say chaos will form you. You go out in the real world and all you have to do is march forward, and then that chaos will individuate you because it's going to expose the naked parts of your soul that are weak that you got to work on. And that stuff will haunt you until you fix it. And if you're a real man, you'll fix it, right?
Manipulation Zherka donated $5. If it's your first time hooking up with a girl, is it f***ed up to do it with a girl you're going to have to see again? Should it be a random in case I f*** it up?
That's the hooker fallacy. Should my first time be with a hooker in case I fuck? I can't embarrass myself if I'm just outside of my hometown and it's like, listen, dude, the advice I give, I feel like it gives a lot of anxiety to young men because it calms me down. Like if you told a young man, hey, you're not in control, for the most part, you're mechanical and you're gonna fall off that, the edge of that waterfall anyway. I know that scares a lot of people, but for me, I find like a lot of confidence in accepting that fact that no matter what you do, your first time is gonna be weird. And the best thing you could do is embrace both good and bad sides of it, so you get in the middle and see it for what it is. Because you could run to another city, you could go to another continent to do your first time, and God has this way of making the world so you can't run from your lesson. You just can't run from it. So if it's meant to be awkward, if it's meant to be however you're afraid of, and if you're afraid of it, you're really manifesting it. Like it's becoming fate quickly because there's so much psychic tension there that it has to form. You're just watering it too much with emotion and stuff. And that you know, I'm not going to say control your worrying because it's your first time. So like I still remember my first time, like shaking, scared, and all that. I had no idea. One thing that did calm me down is realizing that she was nervous too. But yeah, I don't think you running to another city is going to change your biggest fear from being realized. I mean, it has to happen. Whatever you're afraid of has to form in the real world as an event. That's why you don't remember your dreams, because you make these pacts. You make these pacts with yourself of how things are going to go, and you're supposed to show experience and bravery here, and you're going to be set up with, most chatters don't like to admit this, but their first girlfriend ever is like, let's say she looks good, she's extremely masculine. Most people don't like to admit it, but that bitch will like take you for a rodeo where she really challenges your shit. And yeah, if it's your lesson, you can't run from it. I think that's dangerous, right?